Hello everyone, Jimmy the Scottish Geek guy here. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel if you've been here before. How are we all doing? Has everyone seen Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny? If not, maybe pause and go and watch the movie because there might be one or two small spoilers here. Everyone's favourite whip-wielding hero is back once again, some 40 plus years after he made his debut in Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think that was 1981 that came out, so slightly before my time, but just a little bit. Behind the camera for the first time, we do not have Steven Spielberg, we have James Mangold. James Mangold, most recently, I think his last movie was the amazing Logan, so normally a safe pair of hands, but is he a safe pair of hands for this movie? Does it make a difference that Steven Spielberg wasn't directing this movie? Let's find out. The movie has an extended opening sequence. It's like 20 minutes or so, I think, set in the dying days of World War II, so it's like 1944, 1945-ish. We discover a digitally de-aged Dr. Jones on a Nazi loot train led by head Nazis Thomas Kretschmann, apologies for butchering that name, and a digitally de-aged Mads Mikkelsen playing Dr. Voller, a Nazi scientist. Indy is held captive while the bad guys interrogate him to find the whereabouts of his accomplice, played by Toby Jones. Thereafter, this MacGuffin type thing called the what was it called again? Antiseptic. Anyway, the MacGuffin type thing that they're after, anti-something. Anyway, the stone clock looking timepiece thing, that's the MacGuffin of the movie. Everyone's after that. They're on this train. It's night time. Everyone gets into a big fight. The train crashes. Indy and Toby Jones escape, but the MacGuffin, the Antikythera, is lost. Or is it? Cut to present day. Well, present day story-wise. It's 1969 and everyone in America is celebrating the moon landing. I think it's like the moon landing has just happened and the astronauts are like, back on Earth and they're having a parade. Quick side note, the parade scene that's at the start of the movie is actually shot in my hometown of Glasgow. I actually saw them as they were filming this. It was, what year was it? Anyway, whenever it was, they were in Glasgow. I saw them filming it. That was pretty cool. Back to the review. Indy's on his last day of retirement and he goes across to the bar across from his uni, from his college, and he's having a drink, and there he is met by Phoebe Waller-Bridges. Phoebe Waller-Bridges? Is there an S? Anyway, Phoebe Waller-Bridges of Fleabag fame. If you haven't watched Fleabag, watch it. It's hilarious. It's not for kids, but it's very hilarious. Phoebe shows up. She is playing a character called Helena. She is actually Toby Jones's daughter, and she's also Indiana Jones's goddaughter. She talks to Indy about her dad, how tracking down the other half of the I'm not going to call it that. We're just going to call it the time clock Dial of Destiny thing. Anyway, she talks about how it drove her dad mad trying to find the other half of it. She convinces Indy to join her as they trot the globe in an attempt to find the other half of the Antikythera, the MacGuffin clock looking type thing. She convinces Indy to help her and off they go. So that kind of kicks off the main plot of the movie. They trot across the globe, getting into mini and massive adventures here and there. Some supporting cast members dip in and out. Cast actors like Antonio Banderas, who plays a boat captain. John Rhys Davies is back as Sala, and kind of just an extended cameo, really. They're both in the trailer and in the poster, so hopefully that's not too much of a spoiler. Obviously, there's some twists and turns along the way. They're pursued by present-day Mads Mikkelsen and his henchmen. Chief among them is Boyd Holbrook, who worked with James Mangold on the excellent Logan. Don't know if I mentioned it before, but Logan is excellent. So, that's the main plot of the movie. Is it any good? Does it reach the heights of the first three movies? Or is it in the snake pits with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? Well, it's kind of in the middle. I'll say it's comfortably the fourth best Indiana Jones movie. It is nowhere near the heights of Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, or The Last Crusade, but it's nowhere near as bad as Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I think that's universally agreed that wasn't a great movie. Firstly, let's talk about the opening scene. Let's talk about that extended train chase type sequence. It's too dark. it's way too dark. A lot of the times I was finding myself not really sure what was happening, especially when they got off the train and there's the bike chase and whatnot. The de-aging as well, it starts off pretty flawless. The first kind of like 10 or 20 seconds, you're like, oh my God, that looks absolutely amazing. But as the sequence goes on, the cracks start to show and it just doesn't ring true. It looks amazing, but there's just something not quite right still. Something that stood out to me was just the movement of Indiana Jones in that scene. He had the face of, 40-year-old Harrison Ford, or 30-year-old, 35-year-old Harrison Ford, but it looked like he was moving like 80-year-old Harrison Ford. So I don't know what they did there, what they did with the film, and whether it was a stuntman and the de-aged face pasted over, or whether it was 80-year-old Harrison Ford doing the movements, but they'd pasted the 40-year-old Harrison Ford face over. Something about it just didn't ring true. Part of me was thinking that they deliberately set it at night to try and hide the CGI, to try and hide the de-aging effects. It's interesting because, Lucasfilm is owned by Disney, Marvel is owned by Disney. The de-aging that they're doing on Secret Invasion for Sam Jackson looks flawless. That looks way better than the de-aging they're doing for Harrison Ford. So not sure what the disconnect there is, but it just, there was definitely a disconnect, at least I felt, with the CGI, especially in the opening scene, especially with it being too dark and, the face de-aging looking the way it did. And while it's great to see Harrison Ford back in the saddle, literally, a lot of this movie just kind of felt like a greatest hits tour, but the kind of greatest hits tour where the band plays all of their number 2 hits, but not their number 1s. Their number 2 hits are still great, but you're hoping for the number 1 hits, and they don't quite get there. So a lot of number 2s, not many number 1s. Insert toilet humour joke here. Speaking of toilet humour, be sure to hit that subscribe button for some more chat like this if you want to hear more chat like this. Also, I expected more better banter between Harrison Ford and Phoebe Waller-Bridge. The banter was there, but it felt quite minimal and almost strained at times. It's not that they didn't have any banter, and it's not that they had zero chemistry, but it did feel like it was lacking a little bit. Like maybe the script needed like another pass to punch up their chat. Just again, it was okay. It wasn't great. It was maybe good, but it definitely wasn't great. I hoped for more from those two. Boyd Holbrook, who is Mads Mikkelsen's chief henchman, he was the lead in the Predator a couple of years ago. He was the co-lead in the first couple of seasons of Narcos. He was the bad guy in Logan, which is amazing, by the way. If I've not mentioned it, Logan is amazing. But he is, I don't know whether he had a lot of scenes cut from this movie, but he's a nameless henchman, pretty much. I mean, I'm sure he does have a character name. It might be mentioned in the movie once or twice, but he might as well have been called henchman number 1, Austin Powers style, because he didn't really have anything to do. There was zero character development. He was just a thug, a henchman. That was it, which is a shame because, he's quite a good actor. I quite like him. I don't want to be too negative on this. There are things to like about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. As I said, it's great to see Harrison Ford back in the saddle, back as Indiana Jones. The action scenes are quite good. There's 2 scenes in particular where there's some heavy drama, and Harrison Ford puts on a clinic. In terms of like low-key, understated, subtle performing. There's the one scene in the middle of the movie, which is a bit of a spoiler, so I won't talk about that at all. And there's a scene at the end of the movie, and he really like brings his A game there. I kind of wanted to see more of that, but we didn't get more of that, unfortunately. I don't think not having Steven Spielberg behind the camera on this one was a detriment to the movie, because after all, Steven Spielberg directed Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I mean, he's also directed the greatest movie ever made, Jurassic Park, one of the greatest movies ever made, Jaws. He directed 3 amazing Indiana Jones movies. So not having Steven Spielberg isn't the reason why this movie isn't great. And James Mangold is usually a safe pair of hands. Most of his movies have been pretty good. As I said, he directed the amazing Logan. Have I mentioned how amazing Logan is? He's also been announced to direct a new Star Wars movie, so that's exciting. But his Indiana Jones movie isn't amazing. So I'm going to give this one 6 out of 10. I toyed with 5, but it wasn't that bad. So yeah, I'm going to stick with 6. The plot is easy enough to follow. It doesn't stray too far from the tried and tested Indiana Jones template of travel and adventure, all within a 12A/PG-13, ecosystem. As I said, it's comfortably the 4th best Indiana Jones movie. It just left me feeling quite flat and disconnected overall from it. And I wanted to like this movie. I went in wanting to like this movie, and it was just okay. Ford is good as Indiana Jones. Obviously, it's his character. He's been playing the character for 40 plus years. Waller-Bridge is good as well, but I wanted more from them. As I said, I wanted more from Indy and from Helena. Yeah, there we go, folks. That's everything. That's my review of Indiana Jones, and I was almost going to say Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That's my review of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. If you like this video, give it a like. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of the movie. Where would you rank this in the Indiana Jones franchise? For me, it is Last Crusade is the best. Then I would go Temple of Doom. Then I would go Raiders of the Lost Ark. Then I would go Dial of Destiny. And way down at the bottom, out of frame, is Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, because that's just a bad movie. So, thanks for watching, folks. If you want to see another movie review of mine, you can click here, and I will catch you on the next video.